Medrash for this week. I want to mention as well the yard-side plaque for this evening. Meshulam Zusia ben Ephraim, Alav Shalom. The Heilig and Hashem should all be zacha to a tremendous continuous aliyah and Hashem Gan Eytan Shamayla Mechayel Achayel Emet Hashem and Yibalu L'Chaim to Meshulam one family Emet Hashem should be zaycha to bracha and Simcha ad B'lidai in this tkufa of Riboy Simcha Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nehiyeh bidvaro. Rabbi Side Birshuschem, a question that we have never discussed in the past. Perhaps you've thought about it. Let's take a look as we get ready for Purim Aboleinu L'Tova. Let's turn our attention with Siyata D'Shmaya to Megillah Esther. Let's head right away to Perches. We're in the 8th parak in Megillah Esther. Mordechai yotzem l'fnei hamelech b'levush malchus techelis v'chor v'chulei v'ha'ir Shushan Tza'hala v'samecha, pasuk that is well known and followed immediately thereafter by what? Perhaps the most famous and oft-quoted pasuk throughout Megillah Esther, Perches pasuk Tezayin la'Yehuda ma'Yisrael v'simcha v'sos and vikar. Now, of course, what strikes us immediately is v'ha'ir Shushan Tza'hala v'samecha. So we see that what? There was an inyan of Tza'hala, there was an inyan of Simcha, and then immediately thereafter, and it doesn't mention Tza'hala. What's going on over here? Vayir Shushan Tza'hala v'samecha. And one can look at the question, again, different lenses, different perspectives, but if we already mentioned Samecha, what do you have to go and repeat it for? You just told me there was not only Tza'hala, there was also Simcha. So what's going on over here? It says, so a beautiful sefer, a new sefer called Sharoshim Ve'anofim, by a Talmud of Meshulam David Soloveitchik Zechatzadik Levracha. As the Talmud wrote a beautiful sefer on Maseches Megillah. His name is Avram Yisrael Freilich, and on the Gemara Tesayin and Beis, we're in Rabbi Yehuda Darshans Lahida Ma'Sora Or Zur Torah Simcha Zur Yontiv Sasim Zumila Yikazu Tfilin. So he raises this question: Tzarich Bir. So what are we talking about in the preceding verse of V'Ha'ir Shushan Tza'hala v'samecha? If you're going to tell me Lahida Ma'Sora Ora v'Simcha, now the Chorah captures everything. What exactly was going on in the preceding pasuk? He says. And many of the Mefarshim, the Rabbi, even Yichya, the Alshich, the Malba, and others, they explain Ha'ir Shushan Tza'hala v'samecha. That's really going on all the Toshvei Ha'ir. Dainu, everybody living in the city of Shushan, not only the Yidden, but even the Goyim. Ha'ir Shushan Tza'hala v'samecha. Dainu, what? Even the Goyim. Everybody, how many Russians would be dancing for joy in the streets if Putin would be gone today? And at the end of the day, what you can have people who are Russians, and they might have been devoted to Putin. And now with what's going on, there are people who love to have the Russian. Everything should change going on in Russia. And maybe there are going to be a lot of goyim that would be happy. We don't like living under the threat and the cloud of all these gezeras, and they might have nice Jewish neighbors, etc. And at the end of the day, Ha'ir Shushan Tza'hala, so that's going on, everybody. Mishol Rasha, Yenacham Shlomo tells us in Mishlei Chav Tez Beis that when you have a Rasha, what happens? The whole nation begins to sigh, and a lot of people hated him. That would be the Indian of why two separate psukim, but it doesn't answer our question. However, you're going to learn Vayir Shushan, even if you want to learn like those Mefarshim, but then one still has to ask, why are they shaykh to Tza'hala v'samecha? And in the second pasuk, it doesn't say Sasim v'samecha. So the Sharoshim Anofim, Maseches Megillah, he wants to answer as follows. He wants to say, Hanira deitzel am Yisrael ein Tza'hala elala salavo sheyivna beis hamikdash ubezman churban ein Tza'hala b'Yisrael. There might have been Tza'hala v'samecha in the city, but in the end of the day, true Tza'hala and true Simcha is only going to be when you have a binyan abayis, even b'shas Yeshua and b'shas Nisim. And the end of the day, when are you going to have them? When we're talking about the loss of love, the same way in Ksivas Tav Chesam Elma, Hey Hashem Elokeinu Yishom Bar Yehuda, Kol Sasim Kosim, Kol Mitzhalos Chasonim. When you have Tza'hala, when you're talking about a Chasana, and we're talking about the Mitzhalos Chasanim of loss of love in the cities of Yehuda, but now when you have a Churban Habayis. The Gemara tells us a brachas Laman Aleph Aman Aleph Am Rabbi Yechon Mishum Mishun Chaim Yom Shachar Beis Mitosh also Liodam Lamali Piv Schok Biolam Hasa Shnemar Ozimoli Sechopinu Tilim Kil Chavav and Pasuk Beis. In the end of the day, we're not really in a state of simcha, as the Maharal explains in Perach of Gimel Netzach Yisrael, on a cosmic plane. On a cosmic level, no matter how besimcha you are, you're never going to have simcha b'shleimus. Simcha b'shleimus is not shaykh b'zmanenu, when on a cosmic plane there's a grand deficiency in the world, which is the choban habayis. The world is sorely lacking. So you can't taste the ultimate sense and taste of shleimus until you have the asalavo, so you can't fill your mouth with laughter. So he says, Miloi scho piv, that's the Tza'hala. That's what he wants to say. But it's a little bit fair, because it says in Shushan, so what do you say? That the Yidden did have a shaykhis to Tza'hala. You want to tell me Tza'hala is a reference more to Las Alavo, but the Shoshanas Yaakov Piyut that closes the Kriyas HaMegillah, based on the Yerushalmi Megillah, Shoshanas Yaakov Tza'hala v'Samecha. And L'Chayr is what? Certainly Mavusha Samiyushad, Perches Posik Tezvav, Lahidamai Sa'ora v'Simcha is later, but what's the first thing? Tza'hala v'Samecha. Shoshanas Yaakov Tza'hala v'Samecha, Merosam Yachat Tchelis Mordechai. And that's exactly what was taking place over here. So he says, so what are we going to say, Pshat? He wants to say, the nira kekol pisman zen no salala madrega de la salavo, that it's really going on the madrega. The yid are going to be shaykh to la salavo. Asher b'zman shitzet kenu ben yabeis hamikdash. That's when we're going to be shaykh. The kevon shiva meya pur ma'ilu zachin la madrega show Yeshua. How lo kuchem Yeshua sisol de la salavo. We get a taste. We got a me'ain of the Yeshua de la salavo already Purim time, and that's why we say the piyut. Now Shoshanis Yaakov dafka b'Purim dafka b'loshen Tza'hala Hashem Nevim. That's what the Tza'hala v'Samecha. Based on this, Mahalech Efshar one could say that now when we go back to the Posuk in Megillah Esther, Shushan Tza'hala v'Samecha, that's going on the Yehudim. We're not going to learn like the Al Shuk, like the Rabbi, that it's an Esyachis to everybody. Fakir, you see from the Nevi'im, from Yeshaya, from Yirmiyah, Kama Psukim and Tanakh, that Tza'hala represents a rejoicing of L'Asalavo. That's clearly only Shaykh to Yidden. So what's going on in the first Pasuk? Avada, we're talking about the Yidden. We're talking about the Yidden in Shushan. They were Zeichid to Bechinas Tza'hala of the Yeshua Shem de L'Asalavo. But all the Yidden in the world, they just had Lahida my service Simcha v'Sosam v'Lo Tza'hala. L'chayron, what would be the Bir HaDavar? Be very geschmack that the whole Inyan L'chayra Avada, all the Yidden were in a state of sakana. But as we see, the Yidden in Shushan, the same way the Talmidim Hashem Yochai Megillah Yud Beis Aman Aleph Bnei Ma Nischayvus Hanim Shasho Kliya Shabosa Adar. Why were they Chai Misa? Was the answer the Talmidim of the Heilig Rashbi? Bnei Shanenu Misudosa Shalas Rasha. But then only the Yidden in Shushan. Why did the Gezerah extend? Bnei Sheshtachavu L'Tzelem, and I in the Pnei Yeshua and others, that Avada is still built on enemy Misudosa Shalas Rasha, and clearly the ones who were in the clear and present danger. You want to talk about Yidden that were in the Shar 127 provinces, that's one thing. But clearly the ones who are facing the Lahavdil today, the ones in Kiev, right? They're in the biggest sakon. In the end of the day, you are in the capital city. You're Achashverosh is, you're Haman, lives, dwells, where he's located. Avada, they're going to be in the biggest sakona. Said it is Shaykh. What's Lo Salavo? You can have Mamish that gather of an Ahapachu and the Goyim of Chamisko Gamogim, and you think they're taking control. And the Eibishter is going to turn it all around. The ones who experienced the Yeshua, the greatest darga of Yeshua, that's a Eytan La'asid. When you think all hope is lost and you're forlorn, and then the Eibishter turns the tables on Shayishatu, as the Maral and others explain, that is the Bechin of La'asalava, where it's not still a victory over the Goyim. It's that it precisely at the moment you think the Goyim are Yodam Allah Yona, you think Achashverosh and Haman, they're going to go in and take control at the last minute? That's going to be, that is a Me'ain of Lo Salavo. That's why the Shushan, the Yidden in Shushan, they were not only Samecha, they were Tza'hala, they got a taste, a glimpse of Lo Salavo, but everybody else in the world over, and that's why, that's something we could say too. We are all shaykh too, the Torah, to the Simchas Yontif and Shabbos, and to the Sassan Zumili, the Karsu Tfilin, they tried to take it, writes Rashi in Megillah Tezayin Beis, take it away from us. That's something that we could all taste. But the Tza'hala of the future, that was only the Yidden and Shushan. So just to bolster this idea of the Sefer Shorosh Me'anofim, let's understand what exactly is this terminology of Tza'hala. Right? So a Vurtaimer in a beautiful Sefer that discusses synonymous words in Lashon HaKodesh called Bir Shemas HaNir Dafim. So he says, Simcha is belev, Sosin is bepet. And again, there's a Gra, Malbim, Rav Hirsch, Maharal, many differences between Simcha and Sasim. But he says, what is Tza'hala? Lahorim kol Tza'hala sasusim. And it's based on Ibn Ezra on this pasuk. It's to raise your voice the same way that you have the Susim making a lot of noise. That is the idea of Tza'hali Kavirim and Yirmiyah. That's the making a haramas kol of simcha. That's what he says based on Odak as well. Tza'hala is Ratzalom haramas kol sameach. You are raising you're screaming out, shouting out your voice, and a lashon of simcha, and that's that expression of Tza'hala. In fact, in a little konkordantia, have over here, what's Tza'hala, the shorish of the etymology of Tzadi Lamed. The Inyano Amayas Kol Alizas for Simcha. It's raising your voice and sheer ecstasy, gaiety, and joy. And where Rabbi says the first time, especially if we borrow now the Yesod of the Maral and the Gra and Rav Tzedek HaKohen, let's go to the first time in Tanakh it appears. Where's the first time we encounter this conjugation of Tzadi, Hey Lamed, the idea way before we get to the Ksuvim Megillas Esther? First place we have it is in Yeshaya, in Sefer Yeshaya, Paragir Pasuk Lamed, Tza'hala, and it's talking about, if you look at the context, it's talking about La'asalavo, and it's talking about La'asalavo. The Navi Yeshaya says, when the Goyim are attacking, and you think, oh, you're going to put your hope in I hope that I could overcome them, I hope that I could overtake them, or maybe they'll have Rachamim on me. Hashem says, I'm going to show you, Klal Yisrael, that Ein Lanu Amila Yishayin Elav Yishamayim. I'm going to show you there's only one to be Samechan. The nations of the world, your adversaries, they're not going to have any Rachmanis, and don't put your faith in any of the Goyim, and the whole Hemshech Hadvarim, especially take a look from Perek Yud, Pasuk Chaf, and onwards until you get to Pasuk Lamed. It's all about La'asalavo. Amela, that's very gishmak. The first dimension of Tza'hala is clearly intertwined in the Chin of La'asalavo. And what is? That's Purim. That's the first dimension of rejoicing. Shushan, what do we see? We saw that what? In the end of the day, don't put your hope in anybody. All you could do is put your hope in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the very lesson we mentioned in the past based on the Ibn Ezra and Perek Dalet Pasuk Tezayin that Esther tells Mordechai, have everybody go out and fast for 3 days late, and even we're going to go in and fast as well. We're all going to go ahead and fast. Ask the Ibn Ezra, Shaila that we discussed, what in the world's going on over here? You're asking, Esther wants to be included in the fast. Why should Esther be included in the fast? She's there because of her beauty. You are the spy. Your mom is there. You're the number one spy in the world. You're there with Achashverosh, and he likes you because of your exquisite beauty. But in the end of the day, he said, how are you going to look, Esther, after 1 day of fasting, after 2 days of after 3 consecutive days of fasting? How are you going to look? Azok the Ibn Ezra, and this is Ramursky's Arichas and Agioni Aloch and Chelakal, page 274. Esther B'Davka wanted to show, don't put your hope in me. Don't put your hope in Mordechai. It's not because of my beauty. It's not because I'm the spy over here in the palace. It's not because Mordechai. You know what's doing it? It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu Haraya. I'm going to be the opposite of beautiful. I'm going to be ugly after fasting for 3 consecutive days. And no makeup and no cosmetics. I'm going to go in and you're going to see what? It's all because of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is the lesson. And take a look at Yeshaya. The first time we encounter the Rekha, the backdrop of Tza'hala, Hashem is saying, don't put your faith in the nations of the world. It's all me. It's all Hashem. That is Purim time. You think, Chashverosh, maybe Esther, Mordechai. No, it's all about what? It's all about turning to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's here, Shushan, Tza'hala, V'samecha. That's the Gvaldikai of breaking out your voice in Tza'hala. And that's what's going to happen to La'asalavo. Amela, it's very geschmack. The whole Indian of chasanas, we find the Maral writes in Teferis. And the Gemara says, Brachas Davav Amar Beis, Amar Mchebo Amar Ravuna, Kanene Misudas Chasan, Veina Mesamcha over Bechamisha Kolos, Vemesamcha Maschoro, Amar Yishamalei Zachar Torshanim Bechamisha Kolos, Amar Rabbi Bo Kilik of Toida, Amar Nechem Yitzek Ilabon Achas Mi Churvas Yishalayim. What shaykhs? What do you see? That a chasana, leave the Maral, it's very geschmack. Maral says the ultimate expression and manifestation of Shleimus and Olam Hazeh is a chasana. Why? Because it's Shnei Chatzam and B'Veyakah. It's two sides of the same coin. It's the Zohar and Vayikra. It's Duchra, Plau Gufa Mikri. And Almana writes the Ksava Kabbalah or Mecklenburg Parshas Yisro. Ksava, what is an Almana? Almana is not just Kshuvas Davir and makes Al Shem that she gets Almana. Almana means Almana. Chaser Eimana. She's missing a portion, a piece of herself. Chas and Kala, 2 halves of the same coin. are two halves of one cohesive, one unified neshama. Right? Tomorrow, it's the greatest expression of Simcha we have in this world. When you have two broken off pieces who are now Reim, Ahuvim, Ovim, Tza'hala, Alpha, Gematria 13, Gematria Echad. When the two halves of neshama come together, that is a me'ain of La'asalava, because that's the whole miloy of the chesroinus in the world. You're being marshal things, you're taking things that were broken, that were separated, Churban, Lashon Cherev, decapitation, separated. And the same way our tefillos all come together, whereby Chevron, Osios Afuchos of Churban is Lashon Cherev, Ramban Maral, decapitation, separation. And the Indian of city of Chevron, David Malchus based David begins where? 7 years, the Musig Shlemis in the city of Chevron, uniting with the Avos and the Amos, Chevron, Osios, intermingled letters of Churban. You mix it around, the Tikkun is Chevron, Yirsha, Chubro, Lo Yachtav, Yerushalayim, it's where we come Chibur, where we all come together. That is the Indian of a Chasanas coming together. Meilumetz Halos Chasonim. Where can you borrow Tza'hala, which is Meshashaychi Tza'hala? Where can you borrow it? You can only borrow when you're talking about a Chasana, which is made of a Musig Shleimus, because anything else besides the Chasana, you don't have that Shleimus. You can't talk about a Tza'hala. Where do we have that Shleimus? We have that Shleimus by a Chasana. Now we can understand our Nechem of Yitzchak. If you're what? Nene Misada, if you are Nene, and that's why it's very Geshmak. What is your Chavra when it says Kol Nene Misada Chaveinim Sabcho? Then you have to be Nene. Why? You have to get on. No, you got to participate. The Yidden, now they participated in the wrong meal. Nenu Misadasa. But if you go to a Chasana and you're Nene Misadas Chasan and you're Misamechem, Dr. Nechavitz Kilubon Achas, Mechorish Shishon, you're building up the ruins because you're getting a taste. Allah Salowa, you're building up the ruins thereof. Yishalayim HaKadosh, Ameletz Geshmak, here's Shushan Tza'hala Samecha. Only in the city of Shushan, they felt the Bechina of La'asalava more than any other thing, because they felt the Mamish, the Gezerah was Miyadi, was right here, and Hashem rescues us at the very last second. Rabbi say, now it's very Geshmak. What happened? Purim time. Ava Sanes, we saw the Ava 13, Echad 13. We become united with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. What was Purim all about? It was a reenactment, a re-experiencing of Maimon Sinai. What was Maimon Sinai? The chasana between us and the Kodesh Baruch Hu. What happened? We got married. Ayadei the Torah, the Shnei L'chos Abris, can I get chasana kala? But what happened? We messed up and it was a modah. We weren't ready to get fully married to a Kodesh Baruch Hu until when? Purim time. Hadar keblua b'me'ach hasher shenemar kimu v'kimlu haYehudim. Hadar Kiblu, Rabbi side, Hashem, we want the Torah back again, but more than that, we want to re-experience and reenact the Chasana of Shavuos time. Let's go in and take the whole Torah again. Now we want to get married. Where do we experience that? Purim time. A review of that Chasana that took place years previous. Why? Because now we mamish were joined to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Avos Hanes. The Eibusher is with us in the greatest darkness of the Choshech of Golus, when our lives are on the line in Wachayev Kliya, and the Eibusher of Hapachu turns it all over at the very last second. Comes and rescues us. That's the Bechira, that's the main of La'asalavo. That's Kilim Bona Achas Mechovers Yishalayim. That's Mitzhalos Chasonim. That is a Shushan. Tza'hala, let's break out, and that's the first Lashon. Let's break out in rejoicing. Oh, we got a glimpse. And just to bring a smach, Rabbi side, one final smach, listen to Rokeach. Zog the Rokeach, Phineas Taiti Vayir Shushan. Zog the Heilig Rokeach. Here's the Mekubal the Rokeach. Hayir Shushan. Zugan Eytan Shesamchu b'nei Gan Eytan. Gan Eytan. What Gan Eytan? Here Shushan. Teretz is in Shushan. They were tasting a Me'ain of Gan Eytan. They were tasting a Me'ain of Gan Eytan Shamayla. Only there in Gan Eytan. There you could taste a Tza'hala. Yehudim, everybody else all over the world was only a Sosim, the Simcha Vikar, V'chulay, and an Ira. But Tza'hala is only Shaykh when you're in that gezerah, in the thickness of the darkness, and you see the Eibusher says it at the last second. That's the rejoicing that's uniting with the Kodesh Baruch Hu never before. That starts the process of the Hadar Kiblua and the re-experience and reenacting the Maimon Asina and the Chasana that took place. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you back in Metz Hashem, Rabbi Numager, myself, here in the Beis Medrash, 8:15 to 9:15 in the Beis Medrash this evening in Metz Hashem and Yoni. Purim, have a wonderful night.